Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara Zoner.
And I'm John Davis.
Welcome to Spirit Cafe.
Come in, sit down, and
Grab a cup of love.
a Spirituality Without the Guilt podcast. Hey guys, it's John Davis, and I'm here with the lovely Tamara Zoner. We have an interesting topic for you today. We're going to talk about cards. We're like card sharks, the two of us. And we're going to talk about cards and how they're used as it pertains to spirituality. So, hello, Tamara Zoner. How are you?
Hello, John Davis. I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm almost done my third glass of iced tea, which means,
Ooh.
if I take a nap, I'll end up sleeping in my teepee. But I
I'm
got my dad joke
so
in for the day.
sorry, listeners, for that experience. We're going to make it up to you as we go on. So grab your own cup of love or coffee or tea. My coffee cup is currently filled with water because I finished my coffee already. Uh, and so, what are we talking about today, John?
We're talking about angel cards and
Yeah.
tarot cards and cards in general and how they're used within spirituality. What's your thought on that process?
Well, I have quite an open mind about things. So, like most anything, my thoughts about those things are that however people use them is how they will work for them. So, I personally utilize angel cards or other kinds of cards as deeper guidance. So if I'm pulling a card for myself, it's because I've already been contemplating and feel like I haven't quite heard my answer.
Hmm.
And I specifically choose those words because I feel, as we've talked many times, you probably know this, that all of our answers are already within us. And, or they're somewhere in this greater connected uh, universe, right? Which we have access to when we plug in. And so if I'm having trouble listening, it's probably because, or hearing, because I have some kind of block in my belief or fear. And so I'm welcoming in greater, deeper guidance in the form of an oracle card or whatever other card you choose to use. And that will give me the answer. And I choose, again, choosing this word consciously, I choose to believe that whatever card I pull is the right one for me. And if it doesn't quite make sense, then it's up to me to dig deeper. Maybe I then journal about it. Maybe I meditate longer on it. Maybe I stop thinking about it entirely and go take a hot shower or a walk in the trees so that I can loosen up my thinking mind and let my feeling mind step in and take over.
That's a great way of saying it. The thing that I hear in what you're saying is that what you believe is what you're going to get, right? So
Yes.
if you believe that you're going to get that answer from the card, then absolutely you're going to get your answer from the card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your belief. And
Right.
to me, it's rather there's the one saying perception is reality, and I have a very good friend. Her name was gosh, a very good friend who I can't remember her name right now because I'm thinking about it. I actually just sent her an email. Anyway, she was a very amazing. She is a
She's
very
a
amazing.
very good friend. Blame it on the
God,
ice cream. It's affecting his
I
brain.
was her last name. Oh, Kiara Carinci, um, Kiara, and I'll tell you how I met Kiara. I was at a medieval fair, and I was just walking because I was doing a show, and I was walking to my stage, and I passed this booth, and the booth was really cool. It when there wasn't really a booth there, they had gone out and found craggy branches and vines, and they had created this nest with scarves and thing. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. And sitting in the middle of this nest was this beautiful gypsy woman. And I mean, she has a dark curly hair and the deep eyes, and it was like, wow, look at that. And she was a tarot card reader.
Hmm.
And I didn't get a reading. I was just going on. I was watching people coming away from her, just going, wow, wow, oh my God, wow, right? And just so finally, I took the bite and I went and I sat down, and she was like spot on.
Mm.
Well, Kiara and I became very good friends, and we got to the point where we could talk spirituality in real deep levels, and we got really deep levels. And I remember there was a point, and I'm hoping that is okay to talk about. um, I probably should ask her
Let's find out.
before I air this. But she was so gifted and so talented, and she was telling me that and you looked at her cards, and they were so worn. The edges were misshapen,
Mm.
like worn away, shapen, right?
Mhm.
And she told me one day that she had a dream that she was throwing her cards in the river and they were drifting away because she didn't need them anymore, which I thought was
Mhm.
really fascinating. Right? It was like her belief had risen to the point. But when you watch Kiara read the cards would come out and she barely looked at them, and it was literally like they were just more of something her hands were doing
Mhm.
more. And I think in her mind, it was it had become sort of a crutch that she had been leaning on, and now she's like, oh no, I don't need the crutch anymore, I'm healed. Right? I'm
Yeah.
moving on. Right? And but I don't want to give it that idea that it's negative, because I don't believe that. I don't believe it's a negative thing. I think if you're into cards, then that's your belief system and you're allowed to do that. And that's not for me. It doesn't work because I just can't get into it. It doesn't
Okay.
do it for me. My sister's into cards, and I know people who read runes, and
Yeah.
I have runes of my own, and they're all here in a bucket somewhere that I don't ever touch them because they're sitting there. Right? I just don't do it. But um, I think that there's a lot of people who really get amazing um, information from their cards, because they put their belief, and their belief
Yeah.
is manifested in the cards.
Well, and I think it's
Yes.
just another tool, right? It's another tool to help people access deeper parts of their spirituality. And I only started using cards a handful of years ago because I don't need them. And tarot's cool. I love to go to a reader and, but again, I know I have all the wisdom within me. I don't need somebody else to tell me. But what I started using them for specifically was either to kind of create a topic for my meditation, so something to open up to that maybe what
Mhm.
I didn't already think of. And I use so they're not exactly angel cards or oracle cards. They're Danielle Laporte's truth bombs.
Oh.
And I specifically chose these because I started using them in my meetup group. So this group that meets locally with me once a month. And it's not a spiritual group necessarily, right? It's create a life you love. It's anybody who's interested in creating more conscious experience and designing life their way, right? And so I would use these cards to open up conversation. And most people who come don't know what angel cards are, honestly.
Right.
So I'll ask who's familiar with angel cards, and you might have 10 or 20% of the people there raise their hands, and most people don't. So I'll say, well, they're just these fun little nuggets of wisdom to help you open up to deeper guidance. And pulling these cards over the years, it's been so fun to watch because no matter what card, I'll ask them to tell me when to stop. So I'll think of them and I'll ask them to consider some question that they have or some challenge that they're experiencing. Where do you want deeper guidance? Or just stay really open to whatever guidance comes through. And then I shuffle and tell them when to stop. And some of them, it's also an invitation for them to trust their intuition. So that's why I invite them to tell me when to stop, or if they feel called to come and pull their own card from my deck. And however they want to do it, they do it. And sometimes a card will just fly out of the deck, and we know that's for them. And so then I'll pull a card and they'll take it, and it's up to them whether or not to share it with the group. But the three responses that are typical are: one, it's something we've already talked about. It's an issue that they've even brought up in the first hour of our time together. And they look at the card and they're just like, oh my gosh. It's like a confirmation or a deeper invitation. And it's just like, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect card. Or they'll get it and they'll say, I don't know what this means. And then as we start to talk about it as a group, suddenly they'll be like, oh,
Mm.
and it's just so much fun. It's so much fun to see people open up to whatever the wisdom of the card is, which is really just their own inner wisdom. It's just a prompt. So it's
So
super fun.
so my I guess my question is, when you use your cards, do you ask a question first, or you just let the cards come out and tell you what they want
It
to tell you?
depends. It really
Mhm.
depends. So if I'm feeling challenged by a situation or really really asking for guidance, so I just thought of one when I was wanting to leave my 9 to 5. I I have 3 kids to support. So I wanted to make sure it was the right timing. So I I I didn't pull cards in fact for myself, but I asked for signs. So I asked for signs, and one of my friends was actually pulling a card in her Facebook group each day and putting it online. And the first morning I asked for guidance, I said, okay, give me a sign and please make it really, really clear like that I can't miss because otherwise I'll probably choose to ignore it. And so make it really, really clear. So I finish my meditation, I get ready for the day, and then I sit down and open up Facebook. And the first thing I see is Shannon's card, and it says, "Here's your door. When will you walk through it?" I thought, oh my gosh,
And the
that's a
next card
sign.
said, "Don't let it hit you in the ass."
Well, I did the same kind of thing 2 days, two further days in a row, and every time it was such a clear sign. I was like, all right, fine. So she eventually bought me the cards she was using, which are these cosmic oracle cards, and these are not our sponsors. We're not promoting anything. I'm just sharing what I have. There's a journal that goes along with it, and she's a generous heart. She bought me both, or maybe she bought me the journal and I bought myself the cards. Doesn't matter. So, but they're so great and they're so fun and they're funny too. I like some
Right.
humor in my spirituality.
Right.
And then uh, years ago, when I was in Melbourne, Florida, doing a talk at a yoga retreat, which was fun, we happened into this cool new age shop, right? And I bought these. Oh, they are in fact Doreen Virtue, who we were talking about earlier. So these have been struck down to hell, but we'll talk about that later. These
You're
are
gonna burn.
indigo angel cards, which I use periodically, but honestly, they're not my favorite. And so what I use in my meetup group are Danielle Laporte has a couple of different decks. And I will pull, so I'm going to pull one for you, John, since you don't use these.
Trouble right here in
Yeah,
River City.
since you don't
And,
use
and,
these.
and do I have to have intention, or you just in general?
Your intention can either be to stay open to whatever guidance is meant for you, or
Okay.
you can pose a question and we'll see what comes up. And I, for my part, I'm going to think to myself, please provide John with whatever guidance is needed for him right now. And then you're going to tell me when to stop.
Okay. Right now,
Okay. And then I'm going to ask, is it in my right hand or my left?
it's definitely in your left.
Okay. Top or bottom?
Bottom.
Okay. So the card I pulled for you is the universe cannot resist authenticity.
Nice.
And then I ask, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me. I am in the process of creating new and big things into my life, and I find that the more I lean into myself and my own story, the faster things come. So by
Mm,
being my full, authentic self, I I create the world that I am trying to create, and not trying to that I am creating.
that you
Thank you.
are creating, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So wow. So what's your thought on that?
So, and this is what we do in my groups, right? Which makes it so fun to open up conversations. So, my thought on that is the universe cannot resist authenticity. When we are showing up as authentically as we can, the universe rewards that
Hmm.
by giving you what you want, by creating opportunities or opening opportunities for you to be more authentic.
Right.
And more opportunities doesn't always mean like super feel good ones, right?
Right. Right.
It could be a challenging uh, situation that tests your commitment to your own authenticity. So,
Mm,
how are you willing to show up right now in this moment when it's hard to be authentic
mm,
because you haven't always in these particular scenarios, maybe with family, maybe you've somewhat outgrown your family of origin, and can you still show up authentically as you do with your new, like your family, right? Like often we'll show up more authentically with friends than family who knew us when we were young and still have this image of us as a 10-year-old that we're never allowed to step out
right.
of,
Right.
right?
Right.
And are you willing to show up authentically with them now? So that's almost your test. And when you pass the test, so to speak, right? Then the universe goes, yeah, kick ass, you're rocking it. Here's some good stuff that you were hoping would happen. Here's a new door for you to open and walk through. Here's a new friend to, help you even show up more authentically. And
Mhm.
it's cool the way, and I can say for sure that in my experience of stepping deeper into my own authentic self and showing up more authentically, that happens.
Mhm. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
happens all the time. Am I willing to speak up for what I believe in? Am I willing to show up authentically in scenarios that actually trigger me to shrink a little?
Right. Right.
And so when we commit to our authenticity, then the universe can't resist it. It loves it. It rewards us. And the universe can be yada yada, God,
Right.
source,
Right.
all
Right.
that is.
We totally ought to patent that. God is now yada yada.
The book of yada yada. That's what we're gonna
The
write
book of
together.
yada yada. Oh my God, that is an absolute best-selling book. It's $1 million book right there. Holy smokes. Um,
You heard it here first, folks. The book of
there you
yada
go.
yada by John
The
Davis
book
and
of
Tamara
yada yada.
Zoner.
There you go. The book of yada yada. Oh, that would. Oh my God, I gotta get that right away. The yada yada. All right. So you read on me. So read on you. If you are you willing to do that?
Sure. I was
And if you're not willing, it's okay.
No, I'm willing to do almost anything, John.
Don't say
That's a different conversations, folks.
that.
Oh, I pulled for me angels, angels everywhere.
Mm.
Hmm.
So what's that mean to you?
So I love this card. I've pulled it before, in fact. And funnily enough, is funnily a word? Anyway, it is now.
It is now. It's a Tamara word.
I like to
Yeah.
make them up.
The dictionary,
Uh,
according to Tamara.
right? Funnily enough, I I was I was like asking for greater guidance. I was asking for deeper connection, and this card came up for me, and it was like, yeah, we're already here, Tam. It's like, chill. We're already here. We're watching over you. We're all around you. So just so you know, and I think it comes up every once in a while, just as my reminder, because I'm so I had been so used to doing everything myself. I had,
Mm,
that's a trauma response. So growing up in a chaotic home and then being in a very toxic, abusive marriage, I thought I had to do everything alone because the people that I counted on the most weren't there for me
right.
and actually were the ones hurting me. So this card means to me, you're never, ever alone. Like we've got your back, we've got your sides, we've got your front, we've got you. You're not alone. We are everywhere, always. And that is such a beautiful, comforting, loving belief that I choose
Right.
to have, right? What's it mean to you?
Well, it once the idea of security, yeah, is amazing. I've been told in many tarot card readings and psychic readings that angels were always around me, and I was always doing that kind of. So I think that people who like yourself, who vibrate higher, which you do. You walk into a room, you change it, right? Which is, I'll never forget that moment. I'll never
Thank you.
forget that moment. And I think that I think that if we could delve into the idea of everything being energy, and you're vibrating higher, then consciousness that are higher in vibration are going to migrate to you. And
Oh, I love that.
all right.
Yeah.
So I think the consciousness of angels are going to come to you. So I think you're going to be surrounded. And so I absolutely believe that you walk in a really divine energy. And I think that divinity likes to shine bright. And when it shines bright, people say, "Hey, what's that?" And they go find out what it is. So
Oh,
I completely think you're surrounded by angels.
that's beautiful. And that ties beautifully into the authenticity piece too,
Right. Yeah.
right? I'm showing up as this light that I am, that I subconsciously, maybe slightly consciously hid for a long time because it felt like it was getting me in trouble,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because some
Right.
people didn't like it and they tried to cover it up. And so I tried to cover it up. And so, you know, giving myself permission to just freaking shine. And if
Well,
you
I
don't
thought it
like
was
it,
so.
put your sunglasses on and walk away.
I thought it was so funny what you said on your page the other day about people thought you were annoying. I thought
It
it
was
was
so great. That was like
really
the best thing. And, 5 years ago, maybe that would have hurt my feelings. But
funny.
today, yes, this person I've become friends with said, when I first met you, I thought you were really annoying because how could anyone be that happy? And
Right,
now, and
right.
she started to get choked up. She was like, and now I want to live like you do.
Right. See, and I had the exact opposite experience. I think you're annoying now.
Well,
I
and
loved you at first, but now you're just totally freaking annoying. And Tamara, I just God, geez. Oh, it's that woman again.
that's because
Geez.
I push you, John, even
You do.
you.
You
Yes,
know what?
as evolved as you are.
I will say I'm not, and I don't consider myself evolved in any way, shape, or form. I just think that we're all on the same road. I'm just at a different exit.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, right.
yeah.
But I am so grateful for the times you've smacked me with the cosmic twos by four, as my friend Atira would say. Which because I think we all need somebody who's willing to do that for us.
Yeah.
Someone who's willing to say, listen to what you just said, and stop that crap. I think it's really important.
Right.
Um, Speaking of stopping that crap,
Is it
the
time
other
to stop
box
this
that
crap?
no, no, no. What I
Oh,
just want to
good.
delve into one thing before we stop this crap, which will be in a few minutes here. But I just want to touch on that other box of cards you had by that person named Doreen Virtue.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Let's
reason I want
touch
to
on
tap into
that.
that box is because of her change of belief. Because we talked earlier about the idea of the cards being belief.
Hmm.
They're a tool for your belief, right?
Yeah.
And she now says that she actually actively says, get rid of the cards that have my name on them. She says, because they're demonic.
She even burned some and encouraged people who had them to burn them.
Yeah, yeah. And so she's really gone down a fear pathway.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I think that yada yada is love, and
Right.
and since yada yada, the book of yada yada, is love, then I think it really comes down to the what happened in her life that made her suddenly embrace fear. And because she embraced fear, did that make it not possible for her to use cards as a tool any longer?
Mm. I guess because what I heard her say was that they were, the work of the devil.
Right.
And I don't know how someone, I feel like typically our evolution is to open up to love, not
Right.
switch. So she started in this loving place, and she had some out there beliefs that I was like, oh, I don't know, Doreen Virtue is a little too woo woo even for me. And now she's so done a 360 and is so in fear and judgment. I don't know what happened to her, and I can't even guess because it's, first of all, none of my business, and second of all, um it's just, there's always a reason, right? There's
Right.
always a reason. Maybe it's to help those of us who still believe that cards have virtue.
But
That was my punny moment. It
well,
was
and now I'll apologize to the audience. I had the TP moment. She had this moment. So there you go.
right. Okay, we all tell dad jokes once in a while. That it's okay. You don't have to have a freaking famous teacher to confirm your beliefs. You can believe whatever you believe, and
Right.
we don't need to burn the cards just because she no longer touts them, just because she thinks they're wrong, just because she's changed her mind. That's her right. That's
Right.
her spiritual journey. That is serving some purpose that it's up to us to make meaning of
Right.
for
Right.
ourselves.
Exactly. Um, it's interesting. We live in a we live in a world where beliefs are now getting broader, and people are starting to have, woo woo, as they used to say,
Yeah.
is no longer woo woo. It's now more mainstream. Some of
Hmm.
the things that are
Well,
happening.
because most of the woo woo is actually ancient wisdom, right?
Right, right. And I think that once you start having that sort of thing happen, I think that you start to see more and more of the polarities, and people who are really on a belief that's middle road or unsure fall one way or another. And I think that she really wasn't confident in what she believed. And it's kind of strange in my own mind that she says that they're the work of the devil when she's the one that created them.
Hmm.
So she
Hmm.
was saying that she was an agent of the devil, if that's the case.
Right.
I think that's kind of strange, but um, God bless her. I hope she finds peace and happiness without judgment in her life, because it's really a situation it's kind of sad for a lot of people
Yeah.
who really were into her message of love,
Right.
and
And
her
who took her
message was only
courses
love.
and are like her certified readers. And yeah, so it is sad for me. It's like, to just think about it, it's kind of heartbreaking to see someone go from a loving open space into a fearful judgment space.
Right.
I don't know what her journey is. I don't know what purpose she's serving. But I do believe there is one.
I think a lot of it is the fact that she's making people choose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it comes down to that polarity thing. And I think we are in a time where the polarity is really pulling in two directions. And I think that positive is always hundreds of times more powerful than negatives. And so I think that love's going to win out in the end anyway. And
Absolutely.
and no matter where you are in your spiritual journey, it's all the same journey. I tell people all the time that in leadership positions, I ask the audiences at corporate events, I say, so if two people are on a trip and one person leaves to go to the destination 2 hours before the other person, is the person who's 2 hours into the trip better than the person who hasn't left yet? And they go, no. Of course not. They're not any better. They're just
Right.
further on the trip. But that
Yeah.
person who's further down the road has some more responsibilities, because
Yes.
they're the ones who are supposed to say, hey, I found a pitfall here. Hey, I found an accident here. Hey, don't go this way because you'll run into that.
Yeah.
So you're more, if you're further down the road, you have a responsibility to, show people the challenges and help them get through them. So
Yes. I love that.
so that's how I see spirituality. There have been so many spiritual teachers in my life who have shown me the pitfalls and challenges, but sometimes you also have to let them hit those pitfalls and challenges.
Hmm.
And that's the most loving thing you can do, is be a consequence in that situation.
Yeah.
So, and that being said, Tamara, you should wait. You should wrap this thing up.
All right, let's wrap it up. So, I love wrapping it up. Thanks for starting. And this was a fun conversation, John. Thank you for playing with the truth bombs, as those
We
cards were
should
called.
definitely, before you go, we should definitely say, if there's anybody listening to this who is a reader, a psychic, or any of those things, we would love to have you on the podcast doing
Yes.
what you do and showing your side of it and hearing your perspective on spirituality. And if you're willing to come on and give us readings, I think we're both pretty open to having readings
Yeah,
done on us, and you know we're crazy
absolutely.
enough to let you say it. Besides, I edited it. I edited it, so ha ha ha.
Because John doesn't like what you say. No, we're just kidding. I
No,
don't think he
no, we're
does
just
much
kidding.
editing.
So I just wanted to put that out there. If you are listening to this and you are a reader, you are a psychic, you have a gift of some variety that you want to share, you know, give us contact us on the Facebook page, uh, and we'll set something up.
Yeah, we'd love to have you here. All right. So I am going to give you a reading now. The show is over. So thanks for being here, everyone, and hopefully you were slightly entertained or at least found us fun and interesting as we do. And we look forward to talking to you again next time. So leave a comment, a review, and let us know what you think. We will see you again soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. And
Thank
have
you.
yourself, actually create yourself an amazing day. Bye.
Thank you for joining us at Spirit Cafe, a place where you can safely explore your spirituality without the guilt or dogma of religion. Leave all comments and suggestions on the Spirit Cafe podcast Facebook page.